You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about challenging your preconceived bias. I'm MJ.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Unfortunately, our planned guest, Adam Bailey, wasn't able to join us tonight, but we're wishing them a speedy recovery, and we'll get them on the pod soon.
Yep, take care of yourself, Adam. This podcast will still be here when you are all healed and ready.
So, let's talk about the summary for the mission. Now that we have everyone sorted, it's time to advance the mission. You remember the actual reason why the elusive man had us resurrected and gave us all these resources to burn? Yeah, that mission. We're off to a derelict Reaper to recover an identify friend/foe device, which, when installed on the Normandy, will allow us to pass safely into the Omega-4 relay to hit the collector base and stop their assault on human colonies. Here, the game really digs into some horror tropes as we slowly work out what happened to the Cerberus team that was originally assigned to this ship. While fighting through the hordes of Husks, Shepard and the crew notice there's a mysterious sniper helping them along the way. The sniper is revealed to be a Geth unit that actually tries to communicate with Shepard. The Geth helps the crew into the core, but is deactivated by a horde of Husks. After destroying the ship's core, Shepard and crew escape with the IFF and their new Geth friend, or maybe foe.
So really quick before we go into the mission, I just want to say I was mildly annoyed on a meta level that the Geth that assists us, when they speak, the subtitles have their name, even though you don't know their name. And the story reveals they don't know their name. So that was a little frustrating. Right. You'll understand better when we get to that point, which won't be this time because it'll happen before our next mission. But yeah, that was a little frustrating to me because I was like, it should be question marks. He doesn't even know his name. But whatever.
Or it should be unknown Geth unit or just Geth.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Not very smart.
No, definitely not very smart. Yeah, check-ins are really short this time around. We both got a kind thank you from Kasumi, some other nonsense, as Kasumi tends to say, and then that was it. No one else wanted to talk to us, or they repeated themselves.
I'd like to point out, Kasumi doesn't say nonsense. Kasumi has very important things to say, but just the same couple of things.
Well, right, but I think I'm calling it nonsense for now because I think we've hit the saturation point because I feel like she's just repeating herself at this point, doing the thing really that Zaid pretty much did from the beginning, which was kind of loop the same three conversations. Kasumi has a lot of new things to say for a while, and then tells you she'll to come back later because I'm sure I'll have more to talk about. Anyway, I
need to know, does Kasumi say anything about you and Jack?
Yes, I think she did. I don't remember now what, but I feel like she did.
Okay. Because she says stuff about me and Garrus, and she goes, a lot of people are really rooting for you. And I'm like, who? Who knows?
Who's a lot of people?
No one should know. You mean on this, ship full of racists? What's happening?
Well, we don't know that the crew are racists. We just know the elusive man definitely is, and so is most of Cerberus, but...
I don't know. I feel like Cerberus cannot be entirely trusted.
For sure. That is definitely true.
I side-eye everyone that was hired directly by Cerberus and not by me.
That's fair, but also Kelly was hired directly by Cerberus, and she seems pretty swell, so, just saying.
Yeah, well, Kelly is perfect and wonderful.
She is, it's true. But yeah, I think we're kind of at the point now where we're locked in for conversations. I think a few steps after this, there are some more, but for the most part, until we complete the main mission, that thing you just reminded us about that we haven't done in a while, then there'll be more growth with each individual character, I think. But for now, we're kind of just locked in for the next few big steps.
Who did you bring with you to the derelict Reaper?
I brought with me Garrus and Grunt. And let me tell you that Grunt, who I love, he's my perfect lizard son, does not have much decorum when it comes to dealing with corpses, dead people, and craziness. Yeah.
Somehow, I am unsurprised.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact lines, but something about coming across corpses and saying, "Oh, they look really dead. Anyone else hungry?" Things like that. And I'm just like, Dude.
Your son. That is your son.
I know.
Garrus has a lot of really great quotes. One of his is exploring an abandoned area, expecting something nasty and mechanical to jump out at you at any minute. Just like old times.
Yeah, I like.
This is why I date you.
Yeah, I brought Garrus because I needed some best friend time. I just feel like I haven't hung out with my buddy in a while.
I feel like Garrus often tries to remind Shepard that, hey, I know that we might all die, but we're friends.
Pretty much.
Like, I feel like his whole thing is like, buddy, friend, pal, everything sucks all the time, but we're together. Isn't that awesome?
Yes, Garrus. Yes, it is.
I love him.
So we arrive at the derelict Reaper and board this ship, creature, hybrid, and things seem sideways from the start. And what I like is this is one of those missions where, like the first time you encounter the Rachni in the first game, Mass Effect straddles that line of horror in a really well done way that I feel uneasy and on edge, but I still want to keep playing. I don't feel so scared that I want to run from it.
Yeah, this level is like a survival zombie game.
Yep.
The second you walk in, there is a dead body, old blood, real encouraging, makes me feel real good about my life choices. Yes, allow me to walk onto this derelict Reaper where there's already a corpse right there waiting for me to see. Great. Love it. Thank you very much, elusive man.
To be fair, of course, that's kind of how a lot of our missions start at this point, so, you know.
It's true. If there's not a corpse already there waiting for us, is it really a mission that we're meant to be on?
I mean, seriously. And within the first few moments you're on the ship, things seem uneasy already, and you are given the ability to look at several different video logs, and each one that you watch is creepier than the next. The first one I think is fairly medical, scientific. It's, pretty straightforward, just kind of talking about what they're working on and trying to go through stuff. And then as you watch videos, I think with, for the most part, the same two scientists, it just gets
Well, the
weirder.
first one is Dr. Chandana.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Who admits that there's something creepy going on, but he's really just trying to get everybody to just do their work and ignore the creepiness.
Right.
And I would like to know why there are safes full of credits on a derelict Reaper.
Really? Now you're asking this question? We find.
I ask this question all the time.
I know. I'm just saying, like, at least on a Reaper, it makes sense. People had money and there were people. Like, in other places,
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Like, why is there
a Reaper need money?
Well, right, but why? Well, the people might have brought the money. Like, why, when we were on the first collector ship, why was there money there? Collectors don't need money.
I complained about that too. I'm fairly certain.
Probably.
I complain about this all the time.
I know. It's just not less astonishing now than it was other missions.
It's just, I have many complaints about this entire mission.
That's
all right,
fair.
This is just one of them.
Okay, that's fair.
We encounter another work log where we witness more weirdness unfolding. People who were working there are having headaches, they're hearing things, they're feeling really uneasy, and we start to get the impression that perhaps this is the beginning of a very subtle indoctrination.
Yep. Something that we know the Reapers are capable of and that we've not really seen in practice. We've only seen the results of, right? Like, we've only interacted with people who have been indoctrinated. We've not really seen anyone go through the process. And these series of video logs give us a sense of what going through that process is like.
It sounds very confusing and unpleasant and a lot like depression.
Yes, I would wholeheartedly agree.
I don't like it.
No, I don't think we're meant to.
We open a door, And the Reaper suddenly puts up a kinetic barrier so no one can get through to us. That's not suspicious at all.
Nope. And Shepard seems concerned, as Shepard always is. Like, there's a minor level of concern. For the most part, Shepard's like, whatever, we'll deal with it. And so now not only do we have to get the Reaper IFF, but we have to find a way to shut down the kinetic barrier. Yay, who doesn't love...
How did you talk to Joker?
I believe I was optimistic. I think I was Paragon.
Okay.
That's the response I chose.
Yeah, I chose the Paragon optimistic path too, because you get to say to Joker, if anyone can pull us out of it, it's you. And you know, my little buddy does need that encouragement.
He does, you know. It's not like he's got an ego the size of Texas already.
Look, he needs to know that his big sister loves him, okay?
Or Big Brother.
It's true. Look, Joker can't be our son. That's too weird. Joker can be our little sibling, though.
We already have a son, and he's a lizard.
Exactly. We can only have our lizard son.
Correct.
So as we proceed, we encounter more corpses, of course.
Mm-hmm.
My boy Garrus says, everyone's dead. I've seen this way too many times.
Yeah, this is not an unfamiliar sight, unfortunately, for us, especially in this game, as anywhere we go that the collectors have already been, people are either frozen or gone. Or dead.
Mm-hmm. Another work log, there are these two guys who are talking and telling each other a story, but it turns out they're sharing a story with each other that they both have a memory of. So one guy is telling the other guy the story, and the other guy says, no, that happened to me. That's my wife. You're confused. And they're both, like, saying details to each other about this memory. So they both have this clear memory of their wife, who is the same person. It's very strange.
Yeah. And is this a video log where at the end one of them freaks out that something's coming out of the wall?
No.
That's the next one, I think. But yeah, so in this one, we get a sense that indoctrination is part of not necessarily a hive mind, but definitely a shared consciousness. Like, the fact that they're becoming indoctrinated, the process of it also blends memories, blends consciousnesses. Because, I mean, if we've seen anything, it's that the Reapers are able to control the people that are indoctrinated depending on the level of their own free will left. I mean, at the end of the last game, when we both got, what's his name, to kill himself, he turns into a creature/machine that is then completely controlled by the Reaper, instead of being in somewhat of his own control, sort of.
So I had a couple of theories about what was going on with this indoctrination, and my theories range from, was this ever a true memory? Like, did this memory ever belong to one person? If it did, was it then spread like a virus to start to undermine everyone's sense of reality, making them more susceptible to other indoctrination effects? Or was this memory created and implanted?
It's a good question to ask, and there's no clear answer, right? Like, we can theorize.
No, there isn't a clear answer. I like theorizing.
No, and I think that this is the most information we've been given to this date that we can theorize on, at least at this point in the games, about indoctrination, because mostly all we knew of it is what Matriarch Benezia told us and then what Saren told us. But even then, the amount of information we got was limited. It seemed like some kind of mind control, but beyond that, we didn't really, have a ton of info. But here now it's like, well, it could be, your first theory, that it's being spread like it didn't belong to anybody. It was spread like a virus. That's their way of like getting into everyone's heads, is using a shared memory to then link the consciousnesses. It could be unrelated. It could be just a side effect. Like, it could not be a direct cause of the indoctrination, but just a result based on what the indoctrination does to someone's mind. It's hard to really know, and it's kind of really fascinating. It's why when we get to Mass Effect 3, I have theories about indoctrination that have been kind of shot down by BioWare, but I don't know that I still buy, and we'll get into that more later. It's just it's terrifying, right? But it's also really fascinating.
Yeah, no. It's fascinating in the way that a deadly virus is fascinating. It's like, I want to know all about it, but I'd like it to stay very far away from me.
I mean, exactly, yes.
After we see that work log, I have Tally and Garrus start talking about the origin of Husks, and they're fucking nerds about it. Tally says, Geth origin never made sense to me. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, nerd. Chill.
Yeah, I think that for me it was less analytical because I had Grunt with me, and it's mostly Garrus talking about how these are the creatures that we encountered on Eden Prime, and that we thought it was made by the Geth, but now it's definitely clear that it's a Reaper thing and not a Geth thing.
Yeah. And then we encounter a new flavor of husk that explodes.
Ugh.
Because I didn't hate them enough already.
So the combat here is really interesting, right, in this level, because it's all husk, and it's two kinds of husks for the most part before we get to the more boss ones later. The standard husk that kind of just falls apart, and then the exploding ones. But what's interesting here is you made a comparison in your summary, and when we were talking about a zombie game is not far off, right? Like they're crawling up on from the ledges below deck, and they're moaning. There's no dialogue, and then the music is pretty subtle too. Here, it's a lot of atmospheric stuff. It's not, it ramps up as you're in combat, like it always does, but it feels very much more like a zombie movie or a horror movie. And it's unnerving because if you haven't killed all the husks in the area, but you haven't triggered them to crawl up, you'll still hear the moaning but not see anything. And when you get closer to the area that triggers them to animate, then you'll see them crawl up. It can be pretty unnerving. Definitely the first time I played through this, I was completely freaked out by it.
I absolutely hate this. Fighting husks is the worst. It's very annoying. They overwhelm you, and I can't get far away from them. I don't like them.
That's fair. I think the only reason I do like fighting them, even though they do overwhelm you, is because the biotic charge is just glorious. And
yes, it's much easier to fight them as a vanguard because you're made for scrapping.
Yes. And like charging in and watching them go flying and using my the ice add-on for your weapon, freezing them and then shattering them. Like a lot of that works really well together. But when you do get overwhelmed, it can get nerve-wracking and they can still kill you pretty quickly.
Yeah. There's this really cool power in Andromeda where you do a biotic punch into the ground, and it's amazing. And I'm angry that I don't have it because it would be very helpful with fighting husks.
It would be. I feel like we get something similar to that in the third one with the charge, like maybe there's a bonus damage or an area effect explosion, but I'm not positive. I may be misremembering that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge
after
when we get to it.
We fight some more husks, we do get another work log where someone is talking about how the Reaper is playing tricks on them, and they imply that the Reaper is still alive.
Yep. This is the first time that's come up in the work logs, that the derelict Reaper might not actually be dead and just unconscious or playing dead. It's unclear what they mean by it, but like the idea that it's not actually dead.
So that creates the question, can a Reaper ever truly die?
Well, so here's the thing. I think that, so let's think about indoctrination as a bodily function. Humans, as what we are, squishy things that we are, as humans, even if we're in a coma, depending on the severity, our body still functions, right? We can still, our blood still pumps, we still breathe, and some other things. Like if indoctrination is just a bodily function of the Reapers, technically even dead or near death or unconscious, because they're mechanical especially, it might produce whatever this thing is that causes the indoctrination, whether they can
like
control
a
it or
pheromone.
not. What was that?
I said like a pheromone.
Yes, exactly. Like it's something your body might produce even if you're not conscious, if you can't think to do it.
Well, yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I like that theory. As we progress, we see a couple of husks getting sniped.
Yep.
And I would like to know where all these fucking husks are coming from.
They're like rats. They get into the circuitry. They're just there.
How are they being made? Doesn't the Reaper need biological material to create them? Like, don't they need to be made from people? Where are you getting these people?
I mean, you don't know how many people were on the ship at any point.
I feel like it is just untenable how many people have been used for husks. How many husks I have already killed. I'm so tired.
Look, you're asking for logic in a game that sends waves of enemies out you. I mean, at some point, we have to suspend disbelief just a little bit.
I will never.
And this comes from the guy who complains about a lot of nitpicks.
I just got very frustrated and overwhelmed, and I need to complain about it. I hate it.
After we see the sniper shot happen, is this when we actually interact for the first time with the Geth? Or is that No, that's later. That's the next one. Yeah. And so here now we're still fighting our way through the ship. Lots of husks. Now we're starting to encounter... A couple more work logs. Yep, a couple more work logs, and we're starting to encounter the boss husks, which are called Carrions? Scions. One of those creepy words. These guys suck. I don't know what words you said. They shoot waves of God knows what at you that goes through cover that just
It's a shockwave. It's a biotic shockwave.
Yeah, it sucks is what it is.
It does suck, and I hate it. And they are armored, so you have to either warp them constantly. Your own shockwaves do hardly anything to it, and you need whatever eats away at armor. And just regular shooting at it is not going to help that much.
Nope.
Unless you use warp ammo, which would probably help more.
Probably. I mostly used when I could the heavy weapons. Like when I was the couple times you fight two at a time, I used my heavy weapon on them because I was like, I am just not effing with this. I'm gonna kill them fast.
It's hard to kill them because you have to like deal with the husks and kill them. And if you think, well, let me go handle the scions first, my crew has the husks. Plot twist, no, they don't, because the AI is terrible.
Well, yeah, I never rely on the husks. Usually I try and clear out the husks first and then fight the scions, and usually that means then doubling back because they're moving forward, constantly shooting me with shockwaves, and I'm trying to put distance between me and them, which means traveling through the same area or the same decks multiple times because I'm going up and down stairs trying to get away from them to put some distance.
It's very annoying. We approach a dragon's teeth altar. Dragon's teeth are the devices that are used to create husks that we witnessed on Eden Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And it is arranged in such a way that someone is worshiping at them. We're not sure if it was a Cerberus team, if it's the husks themselves. But we also learn more about dragon's teeth.
Yeah, it's unclear who. It's definitely very clear, though, that it was ritualistic, and the biggest concern is that it was the Cerberus crew who, as they lost control of their minds, began to worship the ship instead of fearing it or wanting to get away from it, which is known to be part of the indoctrination process, is beginning to believe in or worship the Reapers.
As we proceed, there's a delightful announcement over the broadcast system saying, we have gone 5 days without a workplace death.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Why is that even built into your system?
I mean, yeah, if you have to celebrate how long you've gone without a workplace death, that's probably not a good sign for the workplace.
It's very bad. The next scene is very well executed. Pun maybe intended. We see Shepard in a sniper scope. And we see some husks pop up behind them. And the Geth pulls the trigger on the 3 husks, saving Shepard's life, and then speaks out to them, calling them Shepard Commander. We see that this Geth has an N7 armor plate on their chest and an N7 stripe on their arm.
Yeah, it's been made clear that Geth tend to assimilate tech and armor around them to repair themselves. And so likely that's the cause of this, is some encounter with the N7 before. But we don't really know much. I love the Geth's voice. We've not heard a Geth really speak at that point. We've heard like noises, but not really words. And the fact that they call Shepard Commander is pretty awesome. Just it just, the whole scene is very cinematic.
Because I have Tally in my squad, Tally voices her opinion, which is a single Geth has no more intelligence than a Varen, which, okay, rude, first of all. Like, maybe there's something you don't know, Tally. Stop. I complain about Husks more in my notes and Scions.
Yeah, it's funny. I always forget to bring Tali with me on this. But like, Garrus is curious and Grunt just kind of seems unfazed. I don't get much out of him. You know, usually if it's not some snarky line about the corpses in front of us, Grunt doesn't say much as far as new things. So yeah, I didn't get much out of my teammates there. So it's hit or miss whether someone has something memorable to say or just kind of speaks to the situation.
Let's see. I think Tally was getting on my nerves because she also said destroying the core should be easy, and I wrote shut up.
Yeah.
I think I was just getting very frustrated. Like, be quiet, please.
You never say anything is a piece of cake or easy or it's too quiet. Like, these are rules. You don't break them.
We snagged the Reaper IFF.
Yep. Which is literally just on a table. Like, just
yeah,
there.
It's just there.
Okay.
Like bait almost. Then Tally says, the Cerberus team did recover it. Where are they now? And I'm just like, Tally, where do you think they are, Tally?
Where have you been?
Would you like to meet this husk that is possibly named Dr. Chandana? Tally, baby. We open the doors and we see a Geth working at a console. He lowers the kinetic barrier for us so we can get in. And then he gets taken out by Husks. And then the most annoying boss fight ever.
Yep. So it's us versus the Reaper core. It has a shield that opens and closes, and between each wave, it produces more husks that we have to fight. This is repetitive, kind of boring.
It's timed. You have to shoot the eye, run and survive, and it's wearing it down, and it's really boring. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's too like clockwork. Like, I get the idea behind it, right? Like fighting waves of enemies. It's supposed to be like a zombie rush kind of thing. Like, I understand where they were going with it, but it's definitely a frustrating fight. And also, like, depending on how you play it, either incredibly hard and takes multiple tries or not that hard at all. It really depends on your weapon combinations, how you play, and what your strategy is. There's not a lot of depth to this fight, you know. If you figured it out, then it's not much of a challenge. And when it is a challenge, it's mostly because of the numbers, not necessarily the complexity of the fight.
Yeah, I had to do it twice because my game glitched. Garrus got stuck in the doorway, and because he wouldn't move forward, it wouldn't trigger all the way. So I was like fighting waves of zombies, and like it wasn't going the way it should, and I wasn't making any progress whatsoever. And I had to restart it. I was very annoyed.
Sucks. Yeah, I think I did it in one shot. I don't think I died on this. But I don't remember being particularly entertained by it either. It's one of those fights where I'm just like, this. I mean, like, the combat in the game is hit or miss for me depending on what class I'm playing at that time and how I'm feeling, right? Because I've played it so many times at this point. But there are definitely combat scenarios that I do enjoy doing, but something like this is definitely not one of them.
Once we win, there's a debate about whether or not to take Legion. We end up taking Legion. Garrus helped me carry him while Tally covered us.
Yes, I believe Grunt helped me carry him while Garrus covered us.
It's just interesting to me, like, who ends up doing what in certain scenarios.
For sure. The ending of this where they're escaping, and in order to escape, because the Reaper's starting to descend into the sun below it, or the planet. I think it's a sun.
A planet.
A planet.
But it's, like, not a stable planet. I think it's gaseous.
Right.
Or something.
It's gonna burn up and explode no matter what. And so they have to pick us up as we're moving. And my favorite thing about this is, like, your two teammates jump, you float the body to them, just kind of lifelessly, and then you jump. And it's a fun, no matter how serious it's supposed to be, it just looks so goofy to just float an unconscious body
through
space. So I got a good giggle out of that.
Yeah, it was very action movie. It was just bonkers to watch.
Yeah.
I leveled up to level 30.
I don't know what level I am at this point. I haven't really been paying attention. I probably should, but I haven't been. The next cutscene, of course, is you're doing a main story mission when we're stuck talking to Jacob and Miranda again.
Yep. I don't care what either of you have to say about this.
Yep. And Miranda, of course, is on the side of, yes, keep the Geth dissected for Cerberus. And Jacob is very much on the side of...
He's like, give it to Cerberus!
Jacob is, of course, like, no, shoot it in the head and blow it up. We don't want this thing here. Why did you bring it back?
Yeah.
And I pretty much...
I am not going to give it to Cerberus. Fuck you. No.
Never.
And also, it is a war crime to destroy something that is defenseless. No.
Yeah, this appears to be a sentient being. No. So yeah, I pretty much shut them both down and pretty much tell them both to shut up. I'm like, no, I will decide what we're going to do, but it's neither of those things. And until I decide, you're dismissed.
I did really like that Jacob says, Tally's going to freak.
He's not wrong.
Well, I like that he says it because it implies a closeness, a friendship, almost like they're a family. Like, oh, my sister's going to be real mad about this.
Yeah. Yeah, like that they had a connection and like he understands Tally well enough to say something like that. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So that just made me feel nice.
And we both saved immediately after
zombies.
This was over. We didn't do anything else.
That is correct.
So the Geth is a mystery, even though we know its name somehow. So more about that in the next episode.
Yep. I hated all the Husks. It was the worst. I like the narrative of the mission, but I hated the Husks.
Yeah, I'm hit or miss when it comes to zombies and those kinds of things. I can play some horror games well and others not so well. This wasn't a full-blown horror game scenario. It was just creepy enough that I was fine. But the waves of enemies, there's something to the dynamics of the fighting when you have people who have powers and guns and melee, whereas they're all melee rushing towards you, except for the Scions. It makes the combat really stale. And I get it. It's a focused moment. It's meant to overwhelm you. It's meant to make you strategize differently. And so I don't think it was bad per se. I think it's only bad during the boss fight. But that said, the class you pick can really make or break the experience in this mission, hands down, because those classes are designed to function versatilely against a variety of enemies. When fighting one type of enemy, some will do better than others, for sure.
Yeah. It's just not my ideal combat situation. Okay. So, last episode, we had Leanna Rupert, and she gave me the best, worst idea that made me so instantly angry. And that night I did not go to bed because I wound up staying up to plot out a fanfic based on it called Shepard's N7, which is an Ocean's 11 inspired Mass Effect fanfic.
Yep. Ocean's N7, which was, again, brain birthed within our last podcast.
Yep. So, for Fandom Corner, I present to you Shepard's N7. A new planet, a new Shepard. Or at least, that's what she kept telling herself. In retrospect, retiring on a planet like Ilium might not be the smartest move for a recovering master thief. The Asari built this world specifically for scheming, and Shepard was just so damn good at it. She shoved the thought out of her mind. There was a bar and a Turian waiting for her here. She didn't know which she was more excited to see. As she and the other passengers filed out of the shuttle, she caught sight of Garrus, her partner in all things, standing tall and gray among a sea of blue faces. Shepard's heartbeat was suddenly the only thing she could hear as they locked eyes across the trade room floor. That answers that, she thought. She took her time reaching him. She almost couldn't believe he was actually here. The way the Omega-4 job ended made her feel so uncertain. What if, in the cool darkness of space, he changed his mind about her? He had been so raw and vulnerable the night before the job, the night that changed everything for her. She didn't want to lose that part of him. Shepard finally reached him, but she still didn't know what to say. He took her bag, despite her protests, and pressed his forehead against hers. Some things didn't need to be said. Shepherd. The harmonic layers in his voice conveyed so much at once. Longing, relief, sorrow. Why sorrow? She reached up to touch his face. The possibilities flooded her mind. Was it his family, the bar, the team? Something was wrong. It's Anderson, he said. Shepherd's world dropped out from beneath her. The sound of her persistent heartbeat rushing back into her ears. Garrus was still talking, but she wasn't hearing any of it. She shook her head, but it wouldn't clear. What? What did you say? Garrus gripped her shoulders and forced her to meet his eyes. Anderson is in the hospital, he repeated, not for the first time. It's bad, Shepherd. She tried to pull away from him, but his hands were strong. I need to... Let go. I have to see him. Tears burned in her eyes as she fought them back. She would not cry in front of strangers. Her throat closed up around her protests, tight with grief. This was all wrong. She choked out one word. How? Garrus sighed. She knew from the weight of his sigh that she wouldn't like the answer. The elusive man. Okay, I'm going to leave it there.
Okay.
So that is your taste of... Thank you. The whole concept, for anyone who's interested in reading more of it, is after the Omega-4 job, Shepherd is retiring to Ilium to run her bar called the Normandy. She finds out that her mentor, Anderson, was brutally attacked as a message to her. So she, in Ocean's 11 fashion, decides that she is going to destroy the elusive man the only way she knows how, by taking everything that's important to him. So I've been working on how to write this heist, like using the archetype of the elusive man and trying to fit him into an Ocean's 11 style world. So trying to find analogs for the things that we know from the Mass Effect universe, like what would the Omega-4 job actually have been.
Right.
You know, things like that.
Well, very cool. And where can folks find this? Have you posted it anywhere yet?
I haven't posted it yet, but when I do, it's going to be on Archive of Our Own. You can find any of my work there. I am iHorde Librarians on Archive of Our Own. You can find all of my Mass Effect fic, as well as my Tamara Pierce fic there too. And one Dragon Age fic.
Nice.
Also, for Fandom Corner, because of that wonderful, amazing, terrible idea that Leanna gave me, she also inspired Case to make us some new merchandise.
Yep, we've got 3 new t-shirts on the Certain POV Teespring, which you can find from certainpov.com. If you click on the support tab, one of the options is t-shirts. There's a t-shirt that says, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel, inspired, of course, by the sign-off we got from the very awesome Mark Muir, which we play every episode because I still don't believe it's real. We also have the shirt we've been waiting for that has a picture of Captain Anderson holding a cup of tea, and it says, Captain Dadderson knows best. Truth in all ways. And then finally, a Shepard's N7 t-shirt inspired by Ocean's 11 and the posters for Ocean's 11 with the crew from the second game. These are all brilliant, Case, so thank you. I hope BioWare doesn't come for us. But all that said, they are glorious. They are $15 each on the Certain POV store. Go get them. They are awesome. I am mad because I bought a Reignite logo shirt from our Redbubble 2 days before Case made all these shirts. So I'm going to have to buy more shirts.
I'm waiting for Case to put the Shepard's N7 design on a different style of shirt because I don't like men's unisex because they don't fit me right.
That's fair.
So once I see other designs, then I will be purchasing.
Awesome. And also, that said, of course, if there's a shirt that doesn't have a size option or a style option that you would like, email us, reignitepod@gmail.com, and we will let Case know and he will adjust it however you feel you need, because Teespring gives us all of those options. It's just sometimes hard to put them all up on the site because you have to create a separate instance for each, but we will gladly do that if that's a way that you would like to purchase a shirt.
Awesome. Okay, I tired myself out by reading that thing.
Fair enough.
It's so much talking.
It is a lot of talking. That's why I took over the new merch thing, because I figured that would help you out. Do we want to read we got a new email, a new review, and a new Facebook message. Do we want to go over all of them this episode, or save some for another episode?
Let's do them all now, because who knows what we're going to get for next episode.
That's a good point. First of all, I just want to say y'all have been great on the internet, interacting with us. Please don't stop. Keep it up. I guess I'll read our review since it's short and sweet.
I mean, I'll do it if you want me to do it.
No, I can do it. So we got a 4-star review on iTunes, our first non-5-star review, titled Woke Effect, and it's by Five Fingers of Death. And it says, I love this podcast and the game, but it's a little too woke. I assume referring to the podcast being a little too woke. Could be referring to the game too, I suppose, but I don't think that's the case.
Thank you so much for saying that you love the podcast. We're really happy that you're enjoying it. I'm not sure if we can really do anything about a criticism of being too woke. The issues that we discuss are really important to us, and we try very hard to be genuine about them. But who knows? It is possible to go over the top, and we're going to do our best to continue to be genuine and continue to talk about the things that matter to us.
Yep, because at the end of the day, we do this podcast for us as well as the community, but it's we're speaking truth, right? We're not making shit up to try and relate. We're trying to be truthful to ourselves and our audience and the folks who love these games. So we're going to continue to do that, whatever form that takes.
But yeah, thank you so much.
Yep.
And we hope you continue to listen and that you continue to enjoy it.
Yep.
Next up, we got a Facebook message from Jasmine, who said, I just came across this podcast in December and I absolutely fell in love with it. I love Mass Effect and I just got through the first game after deciding to replay all 4 games. Mass Effect truly has saved my life in a few occasions, really. Also, my fiance reminds me of Liara so much, even though she lets me have my rants about the series and she doesn't know why I have a slight obsession with it. Thanks for all you guys do. I enjoy the episodes on my drive to work every morning. Jasmine, thank you so much for your kind words. They really mean a lot to us.
Yes, thank you. It was awesome to receive this message. We're so glad that you're enjoying the show. Again, I think one of the main reasons we do this show is because we wanted a show like this to exist, because we wanted to talk about these games this way. And we're so glad that it reaches you in a way that's important. Liana, our last guest, also has a very similar story of how these games actually legitimately saved her life. So we're glad to know that they helped you too. It's important to find that kind of solace wherever you can. So thanks again.
Lastly, we have an email from Megan Haynes, who's been interacting with us on Twitter. Megan, I adore you. I am not reading your entire email because it is an actual novel, but here are some highlights. Hey y'all, I recently discovered Reignite, and I'm really enjoying it so far. A lot of my friends aren't gamers, so it's really great to have new voices bouncing ideas around and getting into the deeper story. I recently finished my Mass Effect playthrough with your podcast and moved straight on to Mass Effect 2 as fast as I could, because it's my favorite in the series. Here is a collection of thoughts on both games. I tried to be as organized as possible in case you want to share any of this on the pod, and like MJ, I am a sucker for lists and notes. Apologies for the literal novel. Let's see. I'm going to skip ahead to Mass Effect 2 because that's what we're playing. Also, there is some Caden love in here.
I did see
Actually,
that.
I'm going to read the Caden love because it's really important. Caden Lenko. I was so sad when you were calling him a wet blanket in the first episode. Caden was a character I was most drawn to on my first playthrough for the exact reasons you both fell in love with him this time. He is such a challenge to toxic masculinity. He's tough, he can be stoic or vicious, but at the same time, he leads with his heart, and that is why my first femshep and my current one fell so hard for him. She feels that she has to hide a lot of her feelings away just like him, so when they both start opening up to each other, it makes for a really beautiful relationship. Let's see. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Hackett, have you noticed that we do not see Admiral Hackett's face in the entirety of the first 2 games, yet when he appears in Mass Effect 3, we don't question it? He feels like such a familiar character, Space Grandpa, yet he's a faceless grandpa voice.
That is true, yeah. And I think I've called that out too. And I don't know if it was they wanted to capture the actor or not, because I've not actually looked up what the actor looks like who plays him. Although it's a well-known one, like it's someone who's been all over the industry. But yeah, I also just want to read the first line of her Jacob rant, which is, "I hate Jacob. He pisses me off almost immediately after meeting him, and it doesn't get any better." And like, then she recites some stuff that he says, which is fine, but I like the opening line. It's because it's relatable.
It's fair. He is a little arrogant and insulting, but he's a boring character, and they did him a huge injustice by introducing this major POC character and then just like, okay, and he's really boring. Bye. We did our job. We included a person of color. We're done here. No, guys, you're not. You're super not done. So that. And lastly, she had a comment about Jack, which I am reading because I know, Matt, you are currently exploring a relationship with Jack. Mm-hmm. Can I just say that I'm forever angry they made Jack straight? She even mentioned sexual relations with other women at times. She's queer-coded as fuck. Why do this? It's worse than Caden's ambiguous sexuality in the first game. I just want to have my badass girlfriend without having to play as a man.
I mean, yeah, that's legit. It's my same feelings about Thane, my forever favorite space boyfriend, is he should be queer. There's zero reason for him to be not queer. It's just really frustrating. So yeah, thank you for that awesome book of an email. We love getting that stuff just because we don't read all of it, mostly because no one wants to listen to us read all of it, but we read it and we read it all. So Megan, thank you.
Do.
Thank you for interacting with us on Twitter.
I agree with all of your points.
Yes. And we would love to have you as a guest sometime, probably in the third season, but thank you. We adore you. Please keep interacting with us. I get so much joy every time I see a new notification from you on Twitter. And feel free to send us another book when you've gotten further in Mass Effect 2.
All right. That is it for the episode. Our next episode is A House Divided with photographer Rob Starobin. Starobin? We did this earlier. Rob, you're going to say your name on air, and I'm going to save it for me.
Yeah.
So I can listen to it when I need to remind myself.
Rob is a longtime friend and a supporter of a bunch of stuff that I do and is very active on the Discord server. I have been mispronouncing his name for probably over a year now. I don't know that my brain will do it any other way. But that said, Rob, we are excited to have you on the next episode where we cover A House Divided.
If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We are at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram, Facebook.com/ReignitePod, or send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
We're members of the Certain Point of View Network. You can go visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also get merch from us, both on our page on Certain POV and on their main page. And then you can also find a permanent link to our Discord server on that website and join in the conversation with us.
We do some other stuff. I'm on a podcast called Circle of Friendship at COF Pod on Twitter. It is about the Circle of Magic books by Tamara Pierce, where we discuss friendship, magic, and Briar Moss. You can also find me at the Rob Thomas, no, not that one, Robcast, at Not That Robcast on Twitter, where we discuss the works of Rob Thomas. And I know what you're thinking. It's not that one.
It's never that one. Never, ever, ever
it's
that
never
one.
That one.
I do a bunch of different stuff, including 4 podcasts, 3 others besides this one. Not 4 others besides this one, because I'm not a crazy person. You can find them all.
Yet.
Yeah. You can find them all by going to my Twitter, DJ_Stormageddon. I also stream on Twitch. I've currently been playing through The Last of Us because the sequel is coming out later this year, and I want to finally finish that game because I played about halfway through and then abandoned it for something else, even though it was really good. So I am returning to that. So if you want to watch me play through The Last of Us or other games as time allows, definitely go to twitch.tv/DJ_Stormageddon. And finally, something I promoted in the last episode as well, but I wanted to make sure to restate here, since this is the last episode that goes up before it happens. At PAX East, I will, for one, be there, which will be exciting. And I'm also going to be on a panel. The panel is called All is Fair in Love and BioWare, and it is being hosted by Liana, our last guest, and it features Morgan Shaver, Kenneth Kenneth S., who is from Fanbyte, and also Normandy FM, our brother podcast, and then myself and Jesse Vitelli from Twinfinite. We're going to talk about the love interest in biogames, y'all. Come to this panel. It's going to be awesome. We're going to discuss how these games continue to impact us even after all of this time because of how impactful those relationship buildings are. And we're also going to talk about the ultimate love interest, which is, of course, Thane. There are no arguments. That's just fact.
Please give my boy Anders some love.
I will. I promise. Some love.
He's a terrorist, but he's my terrorist.
If you're going to be at PAX East, it's on Friday, February 28th at 9 p.m. at the Arachnid Theater. Please come hang out. If you listen to the pod, come say hi to me. I want to meet all of y'all. I'll have free buttons and stickers for everyone who comes to the panel. And I've got a lot of them, so y'all should come. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I've got going on right now.
We'd like to thank Christina Red Spinks for our It's Okay to Be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble, featuring our favorite marshmallow, Kaden Malenko. You can find more of their work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram, and I highly encourage you to commission them because they do amazing work. If you follow my podcast, the Rob Thomas No Not That One Robcast, the new art is also by Christina Red Spinks, and it is a spoof on the North album by Matchbox 20, and they did such an amazing job.
I literally
lost
my shit on the internet when I first saw it because I'm a Matchbox 20 super fan. Don't judge me. Don't at me. And so when I saw that, I was like, I know what that is. That's amazing.
I'm very happy that you approve. We'd also like to thank David Boyle for designing our logo, which you can also get on a shirt through Redbubble, and Dan Bull for letting us use the Mass Effect rap for our theme music. I am MJ.
And I am Matt A.K. Stormageddon.
We should go.
You're listening to Reignite. I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel.
Hey Nerferders, my name is Case Aiken, and for over 2 years I've hosted my show, Another Pass, where I sit down with interesting guests to talk about movies that we find fascinating but flawed. Good movies, bad movies, doesn't matter. We find ways that they could have been improved. So if you ever thought that a sequel dropped the ball by forgetting about a plotline, that an epic could have been saved by introducing the director to an editor, or that a comedy didn't work hard enough to have some substance behind the laughs, then check out Another Pass podcast at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.